Okay, the purpose of this video is to display the assembly of an OPTISEP 800 PEI assembly. We've got the parts laid out here. There's a plate A, we'll call it, with two gasket ports in it, one large and one small, as well as two large O-ring ports. And then the plate B has one small square O-ring port in it. We have our permeate plate, two small O-rings, two large O-rings, two thin square gaskets, one large square gasket, and finally two trapezoid shaped gaskets, and four locking pins for locking the assemblies together. The first step in this assembly is to take the A plate, again with the two gasket ports, one large, or one thick and one thin. I want to start out by placing one of the thin gaskets into its track. You'll notice that the gasket, when you lay it down, is not perfectly square, meaning that you may have an extreme amount of overhang from corner to corner, so you want to visually line that up before you start seating your gasket. This demonstrates that this is the wrong orientation. So we're going to flip it 90 degrees and allow one corner to fall into place, and bringing it down without stretching the gasket, allow the other corner of the gasket to fall into place. While holding those corners down, press in the nippled area to help seat the gasket. You want to repeat that on all four sides. Again, holding your corners and pushing the O-ring down into the nippled area. Next, we want to take our large square O-ring, and again you'll notice there's one proper way to orient it. And we are going to again allow the natural curve of the gasket to fall into two of the corners while holding those corners down, push down onto the nippled areas all the way around. Okay. Now just visually inspect that your gaskets haven't popped out, as they will. And once you're comfortable with that, set it aside and bring in your B plate. Again, the B plate has one small square O-ring channel. Again, lining up the corners, natural curve of the corner, allowing it to fall into place, and then pressing down to lock it in. Once that's been achieved, you want to slide your B plate away and bring back your A plate. Now we're going to install the two large O-rings onto the A plate by just placing them in and popping them down around the nipples. And these go in very easily. One more time, we want to verify that our gasket's properly seated before putting the membrane down. So I'm just going to go around this one more time, ensuring it's completely seated. And we're going to take our first piece of membrane and we're going to lay it shiny side down, ensuring that these permeate port holes are lining up with the slots cut into the sides of the membrane. You don't want to block those channels. You'll notice on the permeate plate that there are nippled areas, one on each corner, opposing each other. And for the purpose of this, you want to ensure that your piece of membrane that's going on next covers those nippled areas. That's an alignment situation. So now that we verified that, we're going to lay down the permeate plate. Again, using these permeate holes as an indicator for alignment. Take your top piece of membrane, shiny side up, lay it down over the nipple there, the nipples on the permeate plate. Next, we want to take our B plate, again verifying that the gaskets are properly seated. And now we're going to place the B over the A plate. One thing to look for here is you'll notice there are 4 very outer corner holes, one being larger than the others. We want to ensure that we line up the 2 larger holes when we put these 2 plates together. Now place your A plate. My gasket's falling out. Just going to fix this gasket here. We want to place our A plate over our B plate, just eyeing the 2 outer holes closest to you for alignment purposes. Gently set that down on there. Now we want to take our locking pins and just carefully place one into one of the 4 corners and press it down with your thumb until it pops in slightly. Now go to the opposing corner at approximately 45 degrees away and place your second pin in, again pushing down with your thumb. And take a tool device, I prefer using a Phillips head screwdriver, and push down and lock these pins into place. This can be a little tough as the pins have rounded heads. Next, take the final 2 locking pins and place them into their corners. Press down with your thumb. And then finally with a tool, locking them firmly into place. Now we want to visually inspect that all of our gaskets have been seated. You'll notice here that the small square gasket is fully covering the membrane area and seated properly. And on the other side, the same. We have a very good gasket seal here, plenty of membrane outside the gasketed area, and our large gasket is seated properly. Next, we want to take our small 2 O-rings and put them in place. These again going very easily. And finally, our 2 trapezoid gaskets. You'll notice that one has a very sharp corner on it, as does the plate groove. So we're going to line that sharp corner up, allowing the natural curvature of the gasket to fall into place. And again, pressing down into the nippled areas. Same on both sides. And now we have a completed OPTISEP 800 assembly ready for installation.